We are live
Yay!
now. Yes, we are. Okay.
Yay!
And it's time for us to play the Deadly Grounds on Serial Killers. So we've got some dead things coming. Do.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of Legends by Night. We're doing part 2 of our serial killer episode, which is probably not the last serial killer episode that we will be doing. However, you might notice we are short a couple people tonight, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. So, like I said, we can always talk about it more. You just can't talk about it less.
Exactly.
So
You know what
everybody doing tonight?
You know what
You
I
can always talk about it more. You just can't talk about it less.
I agree. You know what I want to do most? I want to see if there's any way where we can do the thing where we have the screen half him and half the Deadly Grounds commercial, and just so everybody can see what we see when the commercial is on, because it is epic. And I am so big. I hope you like my pinkness.
You have that pink. Oh, no, I hate that one. Oh, sorry. There's like certain layouts I'm just like, no!
I'm in the wrong show here. Hold on here. We need to fix some stuff. Legends by Night.
Yeah.
I think it's this one.
There
There we go.
Much better.
I feel better.
Killer Sofa.
Hey, you know what? That is an improvement on me right there. I just need to have that little sofa right there on my face.
I love the sofa. Sorry, everybody. I've gotten too excited. There's Killer Sofa is judging you, and Dell is judging you. But I've had this, as for those of you who don't know, I've had this. This is what you'll see if you look me up on Facebook. And I've had this for like years now, 10 years, and my mom thought it was a platypus.
What?
Well, it's not.
Why does it have a little hat? So it's not Perry the Platypus.
It's not Perry the Platypus, but it, that she thought that the beak somehow was different, and she thought that that was a platypus for like 5 years until I explained it to her. So, okay, I'm done putting up overlays. Sorry. Hi, buddy. Welcome to craziness.
Okay,
I'm
somebody
starting to
needs
realize
go,
I got too much sun.
just a little bit. Somebody needs to go on one of the apps that we're streaming on and tag Dan Pavamir and see if he'll say something. Sometimes he does.
Ooh. Dan.
I don't know who Dan Posimir is.
Have you
You
ever seen
don't?
Phineas and Ferb?
No.
You don't know Perry the Platypus?
No, I did not know I only know it exists because I have a friend. She was like, I've known her since she was 13 over the internet. She was like, we all raised her in gaming, and she went by Platty. So, hi, Platty Anna. Okay. She was my favorite platypus.
Okay, you must go find Phineas and Ferb on Disney Plus and watch them all. Like every single
Friday.
episode.
I
Okay.
know what we're going to do today. Well, not today. We'll put that on a different day.
So we're not going to take over the world?
No! That's Pinky in the Brain. Love your thinking. You know what? You little cartoon, I love you. So, are we talking about serial killers or are we talking about serial killers up here? We're not talking about Tony the Sniper, the serial killer.
Well, today's episode was originally supposed to be about survivors
Victims.
of victims and
Oh.
survivors of
Yeah.
serial killers. And some things have happened, and some things have got switched around, and people weren't able to come.
Mhm.
So part of our plans for this episode have changed. So we're going to see what we can come up on the fly.
Yes. So we'll probably
Lo-
spend more time still talking about serial killers and then move into some of the victimology stuff as well.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
So let me just say that serial killers always have in their own minds rhyme or reason. And it makes sense to them why they do what they do, even though it doesn't make sense to us. And serial killers kind of take their morals and throw them out the window. And my whole thing is with a serial killer, not only is this like a oh my gosh moment when you actually are trying to figure out the serial killer, or if you try entering their own mind, but I don't know. I guess it. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, it starts when they were young," and I don't guarantee that was the case either with some of the serial killers.
Yeah. We briefly touched on. I need to look up her name again. I Hi guys. I'm a little out of it right now, but uh nope. Oh gosh. You guys go ahead and talk. I'm just
I'm sorry. I'm enjoying the struggle. You know what? I like to fish, and having something on that pole going back and forth, it just seems like the whole little struggle you got going on there, Dell. But I love it. I love it. Keep it going. Well,
and
no, not for you.
Bell Gunnis. There we go. I was like looking up Burris because there's Bell Gunnis,
Okay.
but no, Bell Gunnis was someone, and we rarely get female serial killers who are not angels of death,
Right.
which is a term that's given out uh, usually in hospitals, and nurses are the angels of death, and what they will do is it's usually one of two things. They either really want the attention, so they will put somebody up to death's door
Mm-hmm.
and then save them, or else they will just start slowly
Mm-hmm.
doing things to kill off their patients. And
Right.
those get really big. And some of them, they think they really are, like you were saying, their motivation is
Mm-hmm.
they think they're being helpful. I mean, I think they know that it's wrong to do it, but in their minds, they're still doing something that they're saving someone from the pain that they're in, or from this horrible world that they're going to be facing after they
Mm-hmm.
get discharged or something like that. The other half are the ones who just really want the attention. It's almost like Munchausen syndrome.
Right.
They're the best nurse ever because they've saved so many people, but it's because they're the ones who are almost killing them. Uh, Belle Gunness, however, was a female serial killer who just she killed her family, and she started off in life. This was back in, by the way, the 1870s and such. Um, but she started off in life as a domestic servant, started working at a butcher shop after that, And then she went off and got married and lived on a farm and killed her family. And then she started sending out personal ads, basically, which they would do back in the day. I mean, this isn't a new thing. Now we have, Tinder and everything, but this was, you'd say, like, rich or wealthy widow needs help on managing farm, come and help. And people would be like, oh, this poor young woman out there trying to run all this property. I shall go in and be her savior and get a lot of money out of it. And they would show up and she would kill them. And so she is one of the people who I believe absolutely knew that what she was doing was wrong. And they never did actually find her. She they think she burned up in a fire, but they weren't sure about it. And her, and we've talked about on last episode as well, H. Holmes, who built the murder mansion, and most people who are familiar with serial killers are familiar with him. Um, they he absolutely knew what he was doing was wrong. I mean, he had to go through, we discussed how many different squads of builders because nobody could know the complete building plans. And so he he initially got in good with these people who owned a pharmacy, took over the pharmacy from them after they mysteriously died, bought up this whole block of property, had chutes that would lead down to acid vats and weird tables and things, and rooms that he would gas people in. And it was during the Chicago World's Fair. That's what it was. So there were just tons of people that were coming in and needing a place to stay. But he was running and he was still killing people and asked to be buried in a very specific manner, like underground, so deep with fake coffins above him and concrete poured over him and just a bunch of just weird and wacky stuff. So I I agree with you that in most cases, in their minds, like if depending on who you believe Jack the Ripper is, I go with the diary theory, like we talked about last time, and he thought he was cleaning things up a bit. He was trying to, in his case, he was taking revenge for his wife, who he thought was cheating on him by killing the prostitutes and such in Mayfair, or in Mayfair, his James Maybrick killed them in the Whitechapel district. I have no idea where I got Mayfair from there, but like he thought he was doing a service, and he actually kind of in a warped way did, because after the killings became such a problem, they suddenly raised the police presence in that area and kind of cleaned it up a bit. So I mean, it's a terrible way for that to happen, but at least something happened from it, At least it gave somebody an education that, oh, maybe we shouldn't just ignore this entire section of our city. Because now everybody's scared. But, yeah, so, but as you were saying, a lot of them think they're doing right. So do you want to hop in to where some of the ones that we've talked about before, or that anybody knew that you might want to bring up who really did believe, like, this is for the betterment of society. This is something I need to do. I should be doing.
I don't know really what the mindset on some of these guys or some of these people are, but honestly, I always thought the Zodiac Killer. Just, I could not tell if he thought he was doing right or if he just wanted to have fun.
Good point.
That's, I mean, he was playing with everybody. He was doing this, he was doing that, and everybody had to play his game for his rules. So to tell on some of these people with thinking they're right and they're wrong, sometimes it is a mental disorder that just absolutely kills or tells them to kill. Sometimes it's it makes them feel better from what had happened. And I am really bad. I have got so many names running through my head. Sometimes you have so many names that you can't remember which killer did what.
Right. The thing about Zodiac that really kind of was crazy. Well, first there was the big cipher thing. And that's where he was definitely attempting to show a ridiculous amount of intelligence. Like, look, I'm sending this thing and nobody can, and it took forever for them to solve that. And so he had this that, and they hadn't caught him, and he said, well, if you guys don't, follow my orders, people are just going to keep dying, only I won't claim them anymore. You won't know if that was a bus accident or if that was me. You won't know if this was, a mugging or if this was me. And very, very attention grabbing or wanting type of person, I think, there. But then realized they might be close to be getting caught and just were able to drop off the radar so easily. That
It
was
still to this day, the Zodiac Killer, it just, I feel like there was just not one. And this thing is, when you're a serial killer, sometimes you play alone, or sometimes you get somebody to come play with you, and it's all a game to you, and then that person ends up doing something that gets caught, or they get turned into the scapegoat. And I know some of Hollywood's best killers or best, stories have been played out so many different times, but there is so much of a spectrum to a lot of serial killers that they absolutely feel like this person deserves it, or this is the only person I will do this to. I mean, who was it? Was it Ted Bundy? No, it wasn't Ted Bundy. There was one of them that was who Ted was the was he the cannibal? No.
no, Dahmer was.
Dahmer
Yeah.
would not eat you if you had a tattoo. As soon as he found the tattoo, you were off his entire spectrum.
Yeah, he was doing trepanation on his victims, trying to just get somebody to stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how that trepanation, by the way, is they cut a disc out. You remove a disc, and it's some sort of brain surgery. It works in some
Right.
places. They do zombie things, but they cut a disc of the skull out and then fiddle with the brain matter right inside of it with either chemicals or a little bit of surgery, and you basically have a living zombie at that point if it works, or it kills people. And in his case, he wasn't a surgeon, so it killed a lot of people. But that we were talking about, we were going to do some victim stuff tonight, and this isn't exactly a victim thing, but
Right.
I remember when he was still active, they'd had a news show going on, and they were interviewing people in the area, and my mom was watching it, and he was one of the people that they interviewed. That was just like, are you worried about this happening in your neighborhood and stuff? And she was just like, he did it. He's absolutely the one who did it. And she ended up being right. But
Right.
yeah, Friday, you've been quiet.
I know.
That's
You
usually
guys
how
have
she is.
breaking in is hard. I know my internet has been going up and down, and it's usually hard to break in and not step over somebody. So, it's the thing about serial killers that I think the one thing that keeps popping in my head when I think about them is one went through my town when I was living in it, and didn't he killed somebody and left. And when the truck stops that looking at, and it's like you missed them. And this one's like, I think everybody knows. Um, one of them, one of the most famous ones, was on a dating show.
Yes. Yeah. She didn't actually go out on the date with him, by the way.
So,
I,
oh no, I unplugged myself. But yeah, it's where they pop up, how they pop up, where you can find them. It's confusing, and you will never know. Um, like some of them have MOs. Like if you are playing jazz tonight and I hear it blaring out of your open windows, you will not be visited.
the X-Man
Eh,
of New Orleans.
yes,
Yeah,
and
and
if-
that was Rodney Alcala, by the way, was the dating game.
so why they do things and how they do things, I don't think we'll fully ever understand. It's like Dexter. I love that book series. I love the movie, well, the series that they have, the TV show. But the difference between the two and between what you would find in the actual serial killers he may have been based on, will we ever actually fully understand? I don't know. I have actually prepared thoughts about one of the victims, Vicky Wade, for when he hit the serial killer Vicky Webb, not Wade. When the I-70 serial killer came into her store and started asking her questions, and she just thought he was somebody who would come to scout out the actual mall to see whether or not they want to start a store of their own.
It's crazy the things that everybody can get away with, and things that when it comes to later on, this is one that is, I'm going to sound horrible by saying this, but Richard Ramirez should never have been convicted as the Night Stalker, because when they went through with, after they caught him, and he was caught he was caught by a vigilante neighborhood group that saw somebody who fit the description and like beat him severely, and they made so many mistakes in his trial, and just in his arrest alone they put him up in a lineup of victims. He was the only one that had had the living shit beat out of him and was covered in bandages and was bleeding, and so that should have been thrown out to begin with. And his lawyers would be like literally asleep while the trial was going on. Um, at some points, they went on vacation out of the country during his trial. And I don't want to go through every single little aspect of it because I'd have to read it. I mean, he did do what he did, but they didn't have enough evidence against him to actually go forth with the trial, but they did anyway. And because it was so wildly messed up, had they not, it's just something, it should have been declared a mistrial from the very beginning. And we have people watching. You guys give us some comments. See what you'd like to talk about. You know, do you have somebody that you studied, or that you're interested in? Do you know survivors? Are you a survivor? You know, um, we would like to hear from you. We were gonna. Uh, who is the person that you were saying that
Uh,
went through your town?
I can't. It's one of I can't remember who it was. The serial killer that actually came through Georgia, Trenton, Georgia, on his route, and they had thought he was a trucker or a hitchhiker. I can't remember. Way too many things have went through my head in the last couple of days while trying to build up for this.
Samuel Little, perhaps?
I'm thinking.
Uh, oh no, that would have been recently. Okay. Sorry. Um,
Hold on. Let me find it. Well, I'll look as uh
okay. While you're looking that up, I did have a dear friend who haven't spoken to in quite some time, but when I was growing up in small town Nebraska, she owned a coffee shop, and she was someone who, when she was going to college, had missed her bus one day, and a small car pulled up beside her and just said, "I see you missed your bus. Would you like a ride?" And she said, "Oh, that'd be great, thank you," and gave directions to her home and got in the car with this nice gentleman, and they started driving, and suddenly they started driving in a direction that was not towards her home, and they pulled onto the interstate and started going very rapidly away from what was her home. And before they got going up to full speed as he was pulling on the on ramp, she wrestled with her door and jumped out because he'd started acting weird. And when she got back home, she was watching the news, and it was Ted Bundy that had picked her up. It was when he had made his escape and was fleeing down to, I believe it was Florida, and she was almost one of his victims because she took a ride from a nice looking helpful man. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I know that that's overstated maybe, but he was very attractive and very charming, and tricked people either by, like, I'm injured, or just being a charming man. And he was somebody who knew he was evil, though. He straight up uh owned it. But I'm really thankful that she was smart enough to jump out of the car, and how terrifying that is to do that on your own. But when she found out afterwards, she just about had a heart attack because she was just like, "Oh my God, this guy wasn't just driving me around to scare me or do anything. This guy was going to kill me."
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we did have some other folks that were going to come on tonight. However, like I said, we've had a couple, so we have some people that are out sick right now and stuff, and so we don't have on the guests that we had. So that's where we're kind of stringing this together.
Oh yes. So
But
Samuel Little had admitted
Oh,
to killing a person he had met at the Ninth Street in Chattanooga, one of the nightclubs there, from Rising Front, Georgia, where I actually do have family living in. And the fact that he had struck somebody in a town that I have family living in had actually got me in wondering, what else do we not know that has come through my area? Well, what used to be my area.
right, I've I've always been a little nervous here because, and it's one of those things where you never know how much people are saying because it's real, or they're trying to mess with your head, or they're just trying to be cool or something. But I
yeah.
know we've had a couple people that have gone missing from Lincoln over the past, like, 2 decades, and some of them seem to match a specific look and stuff. And I was told by one of my friends who's friends with police force that we did, and I've never heard of it being resolved, that at one point we did have an active serial killer working in the, maybe if not directly in town, but in the Lincoln area. And there were some famous things going missing. Like, there was a gal who played a gig at one of our bars one night and was loading her equipment up in her car, and her car equipment got loaded up, her trunk was still open with her guitar in it, and she went missing. And nobody ever knew it happened, but one of my friends who's like, "I've got an inside with the police," was like, "Yeah, she fit the MO of the other people who've been missing." And and none of them have ever been found. They're all females. And and of course, at this point in time, my hair wasn't quite as dark. I had kind of an auburn thing. He was like, yeah, they're all about you. They're like,
They're all about you.
they're white females around this age with this color of hair and stuff. And I'm like, oh, great. I'll just, uh, I'll just carry the ice pick around, I guess.
You
Gotta be
know,
careful.
It's
so,
not like you don't have a machete in your chair.
Couch machete.
so I do want to point out some serial killers take great pleasure to the point of actually saying when they are being interviewed and they got caught and everything, and they ask you, hey, what happened between this killing and this killing? Practice makes perfect. And that is the way that some of them have done. They have tweaked what they were doing to make it a little better and a little better. And one was actually at the point where he could have almost been a surgeon going around every little piece just to do what he wanted to do. That's why they were thinking he might have been a butcher or he may have been a doctor. And once again, I am terrible at names, and I have been doing solar eclipse all day, so I am burnt. So my brain has been fried. So please have
So
patience with my brain thoughts here.
I slept through the solar eclipse. I forgot.
Um, oh, I didn't. I started working on stuff 10 o'clock in the morning, and it got dark, and then it got light on, and it was the eeriest thing. But um, I'm pretty sure I didn't have a solar eclipse killer.
I hope
They,
not.
But
they, if they did, you wouldn't want to turn around. Turn around. Yeah, sorry.
well, you know what?
Bonnie
When we
Tyler
started
reference. Just
when we started this whole thing, you know what played in my head?
what's that?
Video killed the radio star. And I just, I don't know why that pumped in my head. And we're going through this whole thing, and I could not remember what we were talking about because my brain fried. And then I was with somebody, and I said, "Oh, we're talking about serial killers." He looks at me and goes, "That's totally up your alley, isn't it?" I was like, "Well, I mean, I like to think and understand why somebody does something. And
Mhm.
just, you know, one of the worst things that anybody in my brain has ever done to even come close to a killer, but it's not a killer, it's actually a character, is anybody that's played the Joker. Just that mindset. And the thing is, that mindset does a lot of damage to a lot of people. So try and figure out a serial killer. Perhaps we are doing exactly like these actors, and we're putting ourselves at risk of even thinking about how these people are even wiring their brains. You know what I mean?
Mhm. It can be very traumatizing for some of the actors who have to play those parts too, because I know in Devil's Rejects, Bill Moseley had the scene where he was holding the mostly naked woman hostage with a gun and like mocking her in front of her husband and stuff. And he said that was the hardest scene he'd ever had to perform because it was so visceral and so evil, and he had her
Right?
right there.
Right?
That it's one thing to be screaming crazy stuff or pretending to shoot people or beat somebody up, but to be holding a shaking woman and be like invading her that much was very hard for him to do. Um, Evan Peters, after they ran him through the American American Horror Story and made him just play so many goddamn people at once, and most of them pretty much evil. Most of them were killers of some sort. Had to take a break from it because it was just he was so young, and it was like that's all he was having go through his mind, and it was very difficult. Um, you, we were talking kind of about you're saying practice and stuff. Another thing I wanted to bring up about Lincoln, I've brought up the Starkweather thing before. Everybody has a 6 degrees of separation from Charles Starkweather somehow, but the reason that Children of the Corn was written was because Stephen King was passing through Nebraska, and it
Right.
terrified him because he was looking around and he was like, all these places to hide. And
Mhm.
people don't think about it too much, but growing up here, um, I had some wacky friends, and I had some really, I wouldn't say sinister, I would say more edgelord kind of thing. Like they knew all the dark stuff, but there are tons of places I've seen and been to, and there's like beyond just the fields, there are old, deep, deep, deep wells that were dug out in
Mhm.
fields that they would use for irrigation, and then they tap out dry so people would bury them, but they're still there. You can go out and find one, unwrap it, unlock it with the little squeaky squeaky door, and body disposal, because nobody has looked in there for 50 years. It hasn't been a thing. And I was really wondering, we had that bad flooding. I don't know if people remember it. Like 4 or 5 years back, that was like wiping out Nebraska. It was when the major cyclones and stuff hit Colorado, but Nebraska flooded to where we had entire fields that were like 5 to 15 feet deep of sand because all of the dams were breaking, bridges were being washed away, buildings were being washed away, and we lost tons of cattle. They were stranded out. But I was really curious to see when it ended how many bodies would have turned up, washed up from somewhere. And to the best of my knowledge, they didn't find anything like that. But we have something kind of the opposite going on out by, is it by Vegas, where that lake is drying up and they're finding all of these bodies now,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe. So,
Yeah.
I was wondering if the flood would rush things, but I guess we're smarter in Nebraska. That's a horrible thing to say. We
S-
we bury them deep here because we have all these old wells and different places where we can hide stuff. But yeah, it's people's dumping grounds are very personal to them, but some of the easier dumping grounds that might not even be serial killer dumping ground. I mean, we go through and there's like the serial killers and the spree killers, but then what do you call like? And I know I'm going to sound corny here, but like mob hits.
I
You know,
was thinking the whole same exact thing.
yeah,
And I was thinking that, at what point, what's the difference between the mob coming in and taking out this entire situation of people? The mob just snaps their finger and says, go do it. And then the person's like, I enjoy doing this. And he just does it. And then what's the difference between him going and doing what someone tells him and then him going, oh, this person needs to disappear anyway?
yeah. I mean, if it's just a matter of, oh, I get paid, it, that's still, you're a
But
killer.
he ain't doing it because he's just getting paid. He at some point he's doing it because he's enjoying it. I mean, that brings it back to the executioner way back when, the executioner was a person that it was not just, oh, look, this guy could swing an axe. No, it was a family tradition. My daddy did it, my grandpa did it, and now I'm going to be swinging the axe. How horrible is to hear that? But, you snap the finger, you get paid, you get told to do it. So is this a legalized way back that time of being a serial killer?
Well, and not only that, and this wasn't for every executioner, but a lot of them were on the take in a very bizarre way,
Mm-hmm.
which was that, be it hanging or burning or cutting off the head, um, you can have that go slow. You
Oh
can
yeah.
you can have one clean chop if somebody pays you off, and you have to have somebody who actually gives a shit enough about the prisoner, or they can tell you where to find money or something to get paid off. Or you can take a couple of whacks or hang without your neck snapping, or depending on the type of wood that is being used, you can burn real slow.
There
And
was
and that was something that was really kind of overlooked, but it's because people didn't care. You know, this person deserves to be executed, therefore we will kill them. And it was a spectacle. People would bring their children out and watch it.
This
a executioner. Oh, I'm sorry, Freddie.
this is the actual definition: a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive and typically following a characteristic, predictable
Okay.
behavior pattern.
But what happens if somebody enjoys it so much that then they're like, reaping the benefit?
I think that would be a great cover, actually, if you're a
It would
mob
be.
hitman, and then
There,
or
there
gang violence, just
right.
you know, killing people in
There
those
was a
areas.
guy. There was a guy years and years ago that was an executioner, and he was notorious for as soon as the person said their last words, if he didn't like it, he would take his axe and he would knock it against a couple things to make it blunt, just because he enjoyed it. I mean, at what point are you like, I'm enjoying this way too much?
Right. There's a great line from Discworld, and I'm not going to get it right, but it's in Night Watch, and it's when Sam Vimes goes and they take down the um they take down the ununiformed officers who have been torturing people, and they
Yeah.
literally have prisoners bleeding and stuff, and he breaks in, and there's like one guy who's the big bad guy, one guy who's organizing all of this stuff, and some people who are just bookkeepers, but it's like, which one of you are evil, you know? And as he breaks in, he's just like, so, you know, do you have a coffee cup saying daddy's the best executioner around, or something like that? You know,
Right?
you, I mean, we're jumping now all over the place. I'm sorry, my brain is everywhere, but it's like then you go to like the concentration camps and all of that kind of stuff, and just following orders. Scared to death that if I don't do it, I'll be on the other side all of a sudden. You know,
But how many people have a smile?
exactly.
There
There,
is there is some people that in this world smile because they enjoy it so much that they will go out and find a reason to make it legal so they can do it and get away with it.
or to where they have enough backing, like we were saying with the mob, if you can get the mob lawyers and stuff involved. And I'm sorry, I'm sounding very naive about the mob, but I think you all know what I mean. Not just, please don't kill me, anyone. I'd prefer not to. I have some stories left to write.
Yes.
But or organized crime facility, you know, that can facilitate the cartels and things like that, where you have a backing. If you're caught, you are let out the back door as soon as you get into the building. You know, you are not taken to court for your crimes.
Right.
Or if you are, they are, oh, we misfiled this paperwork. He was actually over here. Look, we have this. No, that's not photoshopped at all. I promise. You know, type of, you know, the evidence falls through on things. But yeah, it does take such interesting mindsets, and to find the ways, like you're saying, where it's legalized or backed somehow, that I guess you don't get to choose your victimology, but you're just like, well, as long as I get to keep killing. See,
Right.
you
I
got
gotta
something to say.
oh, never forget. You both got it.
Um,
At some
because
point,
the
we're going to actually get to the victim part, talking about the victims.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to discussing just the serial killers and making it be like we're trying to not glorify the killers themselves, but to remember the
Right.
victims. And we were supposed to have some victims on tonight, so that's why we had those up. And regardless of whether they're on tonight, yes, please never forget the people who were forced. Because I mean, everybody wants their 15 minutes, and oh look, I went out and shot a bunch of people up, and nobody
So
remembers the victims. They remember the killers' names.
the
You
the
know.
vice the vice president, or no, the president of the United States during 9/11, his wife made the best comment. Quit showing over and over and over, because to a number of people that have to live this, you are restarting everything over and over and over. That moment got its time. That moment got. I'm not saying forget 9/11 at all. That's not what I'm
Right.
saying. But to a lot of people that have lost people or this and that, or they barely escaped it, that is exactly something. And it's sometimes you have a thing called survivor's guilt.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a tornado, it could be a house fire, it could be a serial killer, it could be anything. Survivor's guilt is just the question that people put in their head of, why me? Why wasn't I the one that was why was I surviving that? And that can be as damaging as what the person was trying to do to you in the beginning. It is like the mind game never will fully stop. And when it comes down to that, it's absolutely true. These people are going to deal with stuff. These people are going to handle things their own way. There are going to be triggers. I have a best friend in the whole wide world. He's got a trigger, and he never thought that trigger was going to happen. And it happened, and he called me up and told me, hey, I messed up. Something caught me off guard so hard that I don't know where I am. So I yeah, absolutely. The killers make news. People posting stuff about negative stuff gets people to talk about it. I mean, this whole situation with this bridge that everybody thought it was a terrible thing, and he should have never been like that, and this and that. Now we're coming to find the details. And the people that survived that accident, that were pulled from the water or this and that, or even the crewmen that were on that ship, may suffer from this whole thing called survivor's guilt. And
Hmm.
dealing with a serial killer, or dealing with somebody that just came through something like that, a lot of people don't think of them, and they will go up to him and go, hey, I heard that you were this person, which can trigger the entire situation all over again. And that is something that a lot of survivor guilt people, if they don't handle it correctly or they don't get the help, they will complete the killer's work of
Yeah.
taking their self out.
Oh, you're so lucky you made. Yeah, I'm so lucky I have these memories for the rest of my life of being tormented and almost
Right,
dying, and then, w- you know, getting to see the parents of everybody who didn't live walking
right,
up to me and being like, "Why weren't you my little girl? Why weren't you my son?" You know?
right. And
Hi, Tom Dog.
Hey, Tom Dog. Quick break. Hi, Tom Dog.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I,
let's
I,
actually do the break.
Yes, but real quick before we do so, go check out Tom Dog over on Brill Pro. He does some awesome stuff. We absolutely love him. He's a good close friend of the network, and he does a lot of wrestling stuff. He does some comparison stuff. He does some great taste tests and things like that. And he is just an all around awesome guy. So we're going to promote him, and then we're also going to hop in, and I closed those down. So let me go to them.
Okay, I have them found, so.
Oh,
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Redoctopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Your King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Redoctopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
See,
I'm
I
sorry.
told you when you do the thing.
You guys can't see this when we're doing this, but we can see Pyle, and he's just a hoot. I'm gonna do localized recordings some night. We're gonna just get pictures, and it's gonna be like this ongoing chain. That works. It's the Pyle chain of just like jamming out or using puppets or doing things along with the commercials and ads. It's
This is why you brought me into this, right?
yeah.
Not the main reason, no, but yes.
But now it is.
Oh.
We're going to keep you here because of it. We don't have a.
I am so glad that you have never figured out a screen that puts me right beside it and doesn't tell me that we're off to the side. Ever since I figured out that you guys can see me, this is what I live for in the commercials.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing localized recordings just for the sake of it every now and then. It'll be a good time. So yeah, we're back to serial killing and all the different things that make people do it. And I covered my near victim. Friday, I believe you had a near victimology story as well. that
Well,
you were going to talk
she
about.
wasn't a near. She actually did get shot. She just lived.
Okay,
Ooh.
so a survivor.
Yeah, she's a survivor. Vicky Webb had been at her store, the Alternative Gift Shop in Houston, Texas. Hence why I was actually curious about this one. It's local, so
Yeah.
well, as local as anything is in Texas, even though it's like a couple hours away, it's still considered local. She describes him as looking different, and he had walked into the store looking around, and he had been questioning about the traffic, store business, and I told him like he was scouting as a retailer. Um, she had been talking to him like she would any other customer, and he talked about his niece coming. He was meeting his niece, and he kept looking out the windows. He pointed to a frame that he wanted, and she turned her head to look at it. And next thing she knows, she heard a bang and fell to the ground. And she didn't realize it was her falling because it all felt like it was slow motion. And she was thinking, please God, don't take me. I have a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
She landed on her right side. And if he didn't think I was dead, I would be dead. And it was very easy to play dead because I could barely breathe. I was completely paralyzed from the neck down. He had turned her over and her arm flopped to the floor. He dragged her behind the counter and so on and so forth. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is not my article. This is the Fox News article
Okay.
that I am reading from because it's the one that gave the a whole lot of the actual her words about it. She couldn't move. She tried to scream, and all she heard was silence after he had fled. And she heard people coming from outside, and she knew she'd be okay because people had come to find her. Were actually looking to find out what was happening, if anything could be done. And she was rushed to the hospital, and she had actually been shot between two vertebrae. I think it was I'll find the C2 and the C3,
Okay.
like nicely encased between. She was in disbelief. How could it possibly be? Um, I am grazing over a lot of the like different details because, well,
Yeah.
but she had lived and she um had made it through, but at that point she wasn't sure if she could make it while he was in the store because of being shot and so on and so forth by the man.
Mm-hmm.
And it I think in that situation, it reminds me of something that had happened to my aunt. Somebody had actually came into the gas station, shot her in the face, and tried to rob the store. And the gunpowder never left her face.
Oh,
And
wow.
seeing the fear that she had and everything from that having it multiplied to actually what had happened to Vicky Webb, I can't imagine being in either of those ladies' shoes, actually living through the I-70 serial killer or being in a robbery.
You just reminded me of something that I don't know how I forgot it. But back in the day, I worked in a place in Fremont, and just because of things, I guess I'm not going to name it right now. Um, but I worked at a bar, and it conjoined parking lots with the like kind of mini mall it was in and the one next to it. And I'm not going to get that. Okay, some of my relatives owned a bar that was in the other mini mall, like just straight across the parking lot. They were both on the edges, basically. And they one guy had gotten there was a guy who had been drunk driving around in the parking lot at the bar that I worked at and had gotten sent to jail, and he had some other things, so he was there for quite a while. Because it wasn't just the like drunk driving charges that got him in. He had some like warrants out and stuff, and so they served him and he had to pay for everything. When he got out of jail, he decided that he was going to come to the bar that I worked at and kill the person who had sent him there. But beforehand, so that he could get drunk first, he went to the bar that my relatives owned. And one of my relatives was working there, and there was another couple that was there, an older married couple. And that was it, because it was a small town Fremont bar on, like, a Wednesday night or something like that. Nothing really big going on. And he showed up with a gun, sat there and was drinking, held them all hostage, made the married couple perform for him in the bar, and was getting all ready and kept telling them about how they were going to drive over to the place that I ended up working at eventually, pick up the guy who set him all up and made him go to jail, and then take them out into the country, which this was on the edge of town, so it would have been like a couple of minutes, put them all in a ditch and shoot them execution style. What he wasn't thinking about was the time. He didn't pay attention to it. He loaded them all up in the car that he had driven in the back, and was driving across the parking lot and had set his gun down to adjust the steering, because it was one of those. And
Greetings and
Sorry.
Beebins. We are the
I meant to have it at the bottom so we could do the thing.
oh, okay. Oh, whoa.
Ooh! I thought you guys wanted me to do it again.
I think we
It's
were,
going to
but
be
we
at
weren't.
the end of the show thing.
But yeah, so this guy was getting ready to assassinate my relative,
Ooh.
two of their customers, and people who worked at the bar that I worked at. And when he went over the bump crossing the parking lots, his gun slid. One of them caught it, the husband of the people that had been held hostage, and he got him, and then they went. And by the time he had done this, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. He'd kept him there for that long, so the bar was already closed. So the people
Right.
that he was coming after weren't there. Keep in mind, this is like back in the 80s. It was before I worked there. But I was told this story, not by my relatives, but by the bar owner, because he was letting me work alone on the night that the guy was getting released again. And I was like, I had a couple friends come in that night and stay with me until I got, because I'm like, I mean, he's probably not going to try to do the same thing, but I'm connected to this in two different ways already,
Right.
So I would really rather not have that happen.
Right.
But, I mean, thank goodness that he actually set down his weapon so that it was able to be gotten by people, but he put them through torture for hours.
Right.
It reminds me and that's why I don't know how familiar. I'm gonna jump up on a comic book thing here, but if you go to the Sandman, which has now been put out in it's not just in comic books and graphic novels. There's also the television show on Netflix. There's also the Audible version of them. But it reminds me very much of the diner episode with Dr. Destiny. Really fucked with me, because some of the stuff that he put them through are the same things that he put my family and their customers
Right.
through. So it was like, yeah, I mean, granted, this happens in a crazy world and he has a power over them, but the gun was just as powerful as the ruby of Morpheus in that case. So,
Right.
yeah. So I just, that's one of those things where it's just like, and this guy wasn't a serial killer. He was just somebody who got locked up for a couple of things and got really pissed and decided he was just going to kill a bunch of people because it'd make him feel better about going to jail for the wrongdoings that he had committed and had warrants and such out for. because he was an idiot and got caught. Well, because he was an idiot and did this stuff to begin with, but then got caught by being a bigger idiot, it wasn't his fault. Everybody else was going to die for it. And it's terrifying to know that that's how easily people can slip into that mentality. That,
Oh yeah.
oh, I went to jail because of you, so I'm going to kill you and some random people that I just happened to grab because I wanted to get drunk first. And I tortured
Right.
them for a while. So,
It's
So-
you know.
amazing how many people actually have that mindset. I did this bad thing to you, and I'm going to get in trouble for it. So I'm going to retaliate against you because I got in trouble because of what I did to you.
Or retaliate against complete strangers because
Right.
I want to get
Yeah.
drunk before I get you. And I mean, it's not as if he even knew who was working that night. Or anything. He didn't call ahead or do anything. I mean, it's not like you call ahead and say, hey, is Joe working tonight? Because I have a bone to pick with him. But, just calling, hey, who's working tonight? I just wanted to see if my friend was there. Or, would be, okay, now I'm getting to like where I'm smarter than this guy, but I don't want, you know what I mean?
Right.
Don't want to, I guess, like, I'm never going to be a serial killer, but if I was, I think I would be a lot smarter in a number of different issues on things. But I think that's because I don't have the psychosis or the psychological mentality to focus so much on that stuff, that I'm sure that being that focused on certain things makes you forget about others. It's the organized versus disorganized kind of mentality.
So there was someone that they could not figure out who it was, and I remember this is years and years ago. I believe it was down in Florida, and I can't figure out. I would like to find it if anybody knows who it was or where exactly it happened. There was a massive amount of people that were dying from getting pricked with needles, and then they would overdose. So there was a person that was going around and jabbing and injecting people with drugs around clubs, and it was a simple prick. So I remember this, and now watch, he'll be something that my brain just made up when I fell asleep. But I remember it was just being, hey, this person passed away. Hey, this person passed away. And they didn't want to televise it. And everybody just remembers down in, I think, Florida, that they were going to a club and this person was found with a one-time injection. So I don't know. Do you guys remember any of this, or
Astroworld? People needle spiking at Astroworld. Attendees may have been injected with drugs during crowd surge.
maybe that was it? I remember that there was people that passed away from it, and they didn't know exactly what it was. If it was just one person, if it was multiple people, and it was just something that kind of grabbed everybody's attention. Just, hey,
It's a
this
real
is a
thing.
warning to you.
Yep, it did happen. Needle spikings at nightclubs, but it wasn't Florida.
Where was it?
2 seconds. Let me finish this sentence. Across the actual country.
Oh,
It was random people doing it at random nightclubs across the country. So
okay. I just when we were talking about different stuff, it just popped in my head, and I was like, I don't know if I remember this, but I was on my phone trying to figure out, what my brain was trying to remember. You know how long ago that was?
that was 2021, and that was actually in the UK.
Oh,
And there was some that happened in Astroworld, but it was more widespread there.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
half fried.
Dude, with what you do in a day, because I don't know how much you did at with the trucking thing and hauling on top of being the EMS. You
No,
have
I
the right
actually
to
took
be
the
fried.
I actually took the day off, and we set up, and I'll tell you what, in less than 8 hour, you can make over, what was it, 96 hamburgers and 72 hot dogs and 6 grilled cheese sandwiches.
Well, I
Actually, it was
appreciate it.
more like 15 whenever I did it, but yeah, cheeky kid.
So, once again, my brain has been fried from trying to set up everything today, and this whole serial killer, I was like thinking, um, what was that serial killer that was pricking people? If people died, and that is the most unique way, because we were talking about earlier how people have made the comment of practice makes perfect. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's the most unique, but it's one of those that apparently was widespread.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking up. There's a number of people who would uh, shoot people up, but then they took them away and did things with them, and so it wasn't like they were getting found just pricked with a needle. They were getting found after having been injected with something, and then having horrible, terrible things done to them while they were locked up in warehouses and chained up and things like that. So it's semi commonplace. It's and that's that leads us into things like roofies, and I don't know if either of you have ever been roofied, but it is not a pleasant experience at all. It's somewhat
No one
terrifying.
wanted to.
I I had that. This is another thing. Like I had that happen to me here in Lincoln. There'd been a couple of people who reported things at various bars, and we have a huge concentration of downtown bars, and it's like per capita, it's ridiculously high. Especially in the one location, but it's right off of campus. So that's why a lot of it's there. And in some of the more popular bars, like people even like pitchers of beer. Some people were getting it. So like whole groups of people were getting kind of messed up. And I was fortunately at a bar where I was friends with like everybody from the downtown area knows each other. It's kind of one
Mm-hmm.
of the, if you work in one place, you can pick up shift for somebody at a place that you don't even work at just because everybody knows each other and knows how things run in general. But I was down there once and was on my second drink, and this is back when I was kind of a bit of a party girl, and sitting next to somebody I didn't know, and after my second drink, I suddenly couldn't handle. I was suddenly kind of off, and not really focused, and not really able to do things very well. But these two gentlemen who'd been talking to me decided they were going to help me get out to give me a ride home, which is obviously not something that I would normally do. So they were keeping an eye on me, and these guys tried to haul me out, and I slipped because fortunately I'm clumsy in one case, even though I was roofied too. But I slipped on the ice, cut my pants open, cut my knee open. I was this huge bloody mess, and they were like, shit, we don't want to deal with her. And so they actually like knocked back in the bartender's like, I'll just give her to me. Give her here. And he took me back to his place that night. Nothing funny. He was just to keep an eye on me, basically,
Right.
because he wanted to make sure that nothing happened. And after a couple of hours, it was pretty clear that I was going to be okay. I wasn't going to overdose on anything or whatever, but he was keeping a good eye on me. But I mean, it, the people who think that and that's not even like usually used for killing people. That's something where like, hey, I just,
Right.
gonna pick up a girl and she'll forget about all of it. Yeah. Or guy. I mean, I'm not just saying it happens to girls, but I don't know. Is that as popular as it used to be? That's a horrible way to phrase.
The bad thing is
I hate because I'm saying things that like, is that still a trend? Roofing people? I don't
No, it's
know.
still a trend to the point of they have asked guy friends to watch their drink, and they have been able to record other guys, not on purpose, like a friend recording them dancing, and they asked their friend to hold their drink while they went to the restroom, and another guy that had been watching is like, "Here, I'll hold that," and they're like, "No." So yeah, it's the bad thing is, I don't think it's ever going to stop until something happens and various people, the populace, get the idea that it's the worst idea.
Yeah. And I know they have those fingernail polish things now where you can, it like pH tests basically or drug tests your drink. But I know somebody who roofied themselves on purpose because they thought it was really fun. I was just like, what is wrong with you?
I don't
Once in
like
a
that
while, I
idea.
can't sleep, and I take a little pill like this, and I feel like I roofied myself to go to sleep.
I take a handful of pills every morning and night. I don't need breakfast or lunch. I have epilepsy medication. It
Right.
handles all my calories right there. I get a little carbs every
Oh,
now and then, but
I talked to my doctor, and she's like, "How's that new medication?" Um, I can only take it to sleep when I ain't got nothing going on the next day. And they said, "Oh, really? How do you sleep?" Right through every alarm I ever had.
slept through a SWAT team once.
Wow.
Yeah, in my building, cleared out my entire building and the people across the breezeway, had snipers on the fucking roofs and everything going on, and I slept completely through it. Like they had people coming in and out for hours trying to get like with their radios on trying to talk to an upstairs neighbor,
Right.
and I just slept through it because I take handfuls of pills because it's what our society does these days. They started me off on 20 milligrams of Seroquel, and the first time I had 20 milligrams, within half an hour, I was like ping pong balling off the walls, just trying to get to bed. Like, oh, let's sleep here. Oh no, wait, I got to get to that. Oh, and made it there finally. And the people who live in my mattress just helped me finally get into bed. They were feeling sorry for me, but now I take 200 milligrams when I wake up and 600 milligrams to go to bed. So,
Wow.
Nice.
yeah,
We
that
call
is,
that a tranquilizer.
yeah, they're like, they can put horses down with that much, right? Well, it's what happens when you're on a medication for years. You just
Yes.
keep getting more and more and more and more of it until people are looking at you like, most people die. I don't know. That's just,
We're not normal. Dude, I slept
no.
through Ike.
You know,
You
I
slept through
know.
what?
Hurricane Ike.
Oh, I thought you were
Oh,
talking about like the president, and I was like, you weren't alive then.
No,
It's a
it
long
like
time to
went
sleep.
through us. It knocked everything out, and then my aunt calls. The one I was telling you about earlier. Hey, are you okay? Are you alive? Yeah, I'm good. I was asleep. You do realize there's a hurricane going on right now? Well, my building
nope.
is still standing.
Bricks, man. Gotta live where there are bricks. I love bricks around me. I don't know. So,
Bricks are good.
so while we were talking about like the things I'd mentioned last episode that there's the test you can take online, and all of you look this up. It's super fun. It's serial killer or computer programmer, and don't cheat, but go through and see if you can identify. What it shows a bunch of different pictures, and you have to decide whether they are a computer programmer or a serial killer. See how well you do. But
Can you
we do
send the
know
link
that
so I can share it on the page?
I can share it right here. Just give me just a second to. I'm gonna pause so you guys don't have to hear my angry typing. They make fun of me.
Crikey! You thought that was typing?
Dude, it you can definitely hear it through the mic. So yeah, it's a good idea.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know.
So
It's. I never thought of angry typing. I mean,
It's
maybe
not.
disturbed, not happy, but
I
not
think we're all
angry.
disturbed. Look at how
You
well we've
know.
had kept this conversation going, and it's like,
Oh
what
my
is a
gosh.
serial killer? What pertains to a serial killer? Is this considered? Look at how bad this is.
If your typing was a emoji, what would it be?
Okay, I'm gonna put a link to one of them. I'm assuming they're mostly based on the same thing. This was the first one that came up on Google. So here you go for everyone who's watching. Check this one out. I'm not supporting the site or anything. I don't know anything about them. I just found this one first. If it doesn't work for you, fine. Just type in serial killer or computer programmer. Find one that works for you. But we do have all of the red flags and psychological backgrounds that people have taken that are like, okay, people who hurt small animals. Bedwetting is one of the big things. A bunch of the different red flags that if you trigger this many of them, you might be a serial killer. And I'm wondering how many of us have sat down and like kind of analyzed stuff and been like, you know, I don't know. Does this person did like this person? I know they do this. I know they do this. I know they do this. They have these violent tendencies, and I'm kind of worried about the animals in their neighborhood right now. You know, I kind of wonder if some are missing because you shouldn't have to say things in public like, please don't throw the scissors at the baby. Those are just not things that normally come up in conversation, with, even though they're younger. But when they're like about 10, they should get past that, you know? And I've seen some people that have been that way and then have taken some medication and turn out to be absolutely fine. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be medicated, but it did help a person that I was seriously worried about the small fauna in their neighborhood. Um, but what about you guys? Do you and you guys out there, have you ever had someone where you're just like, oh, dude, he's one of these days he's gonna snap, and I don't want to be there, or I don't really want to go into his basement because there might be something there I don't want to see, or her,
Ooh,
you know,
ooh.
not
For
judging.
those reasons alone, for those general reasons, I don't want to go around somebody. No, I've had other reasons where I'm just like, no, that is a bad idea. I'm leaving. But yeah,
Pal, you got excited.
Okay. I used to work at Aaron Sales and Lease. And you want to
What?
talk about I used to work at Aaron Sales and Lease.
Okay.
And being a rent-to-own company, you go into some of the scariest, sketchiest places in the world. So going down to someone's basement, you never know what you're going to find. And there was actually one house that just made me feel very uncomfortable, and I expected to find chain bodies up in this basement. And I just was like, nope, I'm done with this. And I told my manager, I was like, um, I have like really bad safety concerns about this place. And he told me, I'll go out there tomorrow. I said, okay. I said, it's my day off. And he goes, I'll handle this. He got there and he's like, we're not leasing to that person. And I told him, I said, you get the vibe? He goes, I figured if there was a concern in your eyes, there might be a concern that I am not seeing. I said, okay. So the person got so angry at us. And my manager finally said, you know what? We're going out there. I said, okay, you through the door first. I want the heads up if someone's going to kill me. And it was just, it gave the bad vibe. Actually, we ended up just telling the guy, here's your washer. We're not bringing it down. Because there was questionable things. As the lights did not work down in the basement, there was multiple newspapers down in the basement. Now, if that's the way you're living, that's the way you're living, you know. you might need to seek help. But even the person made the comment, it's safe to go down. No, I'm gone. So that's my story with that. There's a lot more detail to it. You two, I will explain later because I don't want to red flag anyone that might know. But
yeah, I mean, if people walked in my place right now, they'd be like, "Where are your other 15 cats?" And I'd be like, "Nope, just got the one. I just have 4,000 Chewy boxes that show up a month. So as soon as I get one group of them out recycled, the next group gets delivered." And like my sofa is just like box, Amazon, Carissa box, this box, this box. By the way, everybody, Carissa Grant, Worthy Chaos, she's probably got a Kickstarter up right now. Go find it. If not, get ready for her next one. They're awesome. I gotta show you. Okay, you guys talk for a second. I gotta get it out because I'm gonna make noise, so I gotta mute myself.
I got
angry
8
typing engaged.
I get 8 out of 10 on that one that she shared. And it's actually pretty fun. That whole entire website looks interesting. So don't just do that one. Check out the others.
I've just got bad memory of that place now.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Dark hole there.
The different stories y'all would have would be totally interesting to hear.
Okay, so it isn't a bunch of pop-up commercial ad kind of things that I linked? That's okay.
There was a thing that you went through. I like how they set up the website. It's very they tell you who the person is, what they did in like a small paragraph. And it is a good quiz.
Okay. The first time I took it, it was just printed out sheets of paper and handed to me. Because my friend, one of my friends was friends with somebody who worked in like a decoding. No, what do you call it when you profiling? She worked in a profiling department of somewhere. And she had it for funsies and gave it to me and I filled it out. And like, I filled in the information on the bottom. It was like, oh, actually, this is so-and-so and blah, 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 blah. And she was just like, your friend has way too much time on her hands. And I would watch it if you were over at her house. But speaking of dead people, God, I'm fucking horrible tonight. I gave up with phrasing. This is one of Carissa's most recent Kickstarter items. It is the plushie Anubis, and you can get different styles of the Ankh staff here. And I went with the solid plastic one because you can get like a fluffy one too. But check out this figure. He is so perfect. This is like real leather that's going on him. He is just absolutely amazing. I love him. He is going to be part of the show. I just hadn't gotten him out yet because I hadn't finished up all of my pictures. But yeah, while we're judging, he's going to judge your heart or help to judge your heart. And all of you serial killers are going to be eaten by Mott. But yeah.
Will your heart balance?
And she's releasing more stuff now. Oh my gosh. She picked up on the plushies and she's got even more plushies coming out. So total side note, hugs for Carissa. We love her. But couldn't have the Anubis.
Just take my money now.
I will direct you. I will direct you to her after the show.
I love Anubis.
I know. And I was talking. There's an Anubis slot machine at the new casino, and I was so excited. And I got this from it. It was delivered to my mom's, and we were going to the casinos, and she's like, "Yeah," talking about something, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do the slot machine tonight. It's got Anubis in it," and like I just got Curtis M. Lawson's book, which was Couch Surfing Through the 12 Levels of Hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about. And 12 Chambers of Hell. And
Yeah, Chambers sounds better.
Yes. And an Anubis factors in there, and then I got a plushie Anubis, and then I was going to use the Anubis slot machine. And my mom, we all love my mom, but she was just like, I don't care. I didn't study that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Just stop now. Okay? I'm like, okay, Mom. I thought everybody knew Egyptian mythology, but I guess it's just me. She's like, yes, it really is. Most people don't study that. just you and your tribe. That's who studies that kind of stuff. The rest of us don't. Went to med school. Didn't study Anubis. He wasn't there. I'm like, well, but he weighs hearts, so he should have been there. You know, like, what did you pray to when you put the heart on the scale when you were doing an autopsy? Was there a feather there? Was there a feather involved? Did you even do it right? I'm just sorry. I'm dilling out right now.
Yes, this show is off the rails.
We've which is really weird because this is a really serious subject, but again, phrasing sometimes happens and I don't do it well. And I just kind of take us everywhere. Come along and ride on a fantastic delve voyage.
Yeah, I don't think I've helped either, so yeah, we're fine.
No, I honestly, if you came to talk about serial killers, I apologize. My brain's been fried. And honestly, I know we will get back on track on it. We have totally derailed off of it, and you know what? Sometimes
we'll get back on
it's
track
okay
next time
to
around.
derail.
What Raz will be here to keep us on track next time, which is weird as that sounds. Raz keeping us on track. He actually does a pretty good job with this show most of the time. I derail like fuck because I live with Ratatosker, who, now that my concussion's over and I'm drinking, he's able to drink again, but unfortunately the box broke that was holding all of his alcohol, so I have to like go digging for it and find all of his alcohol again. I got a new box that's bigger, but this one was like cloth cube and it the side fell out, and so now I have a big plastic one that it will all fit in. So my squirrel can get drunk. And you guys all know how to pronounce it. It's Ratatosker, like the North squirrel who goes up and down the tree of life and nibbles on things and fucks with Thor because Thor is fun to fuck with. I mean, until he zaps you, but then you end up with hair like mine, so it's okay. It's all good. I have no idea what I'm doing.
At least you don't have hair like mine. Look, you could land an airplane on it right here.
Don't go to the bald plains or the Baldlands, man. Oh, you weren't there for that. That was fun. We had Bernie Rao. By the way, guys, if you have not seen, we had Bernie Rao on for our first Owlite Picture Show. The man who brought to us all dun, 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 Killer Sofa.
I look so much better when that thing's above my face.
Just to prove it.
Hi, this is Bernie Rao, director of Killer Sofa, and you're watching the Howl Light Network.
They kept making fun of me because Raz didn't realize I was teasing him, and I was like, no, owl, hoo hoo, hoo hoo. And he's like, Howl Light. And I'm like, no, it's owl. And like I'm not stupid. I knew it was his accent. I was just teasing him a little bit, which you shouldn't tease people because of their accents. But we had fun. Go watch that. It was great. He's amazing. And he doesn't realize how underappreciated he is as a director. And that is a serial killing sofa. Well, recliner. But it goes out and its MO is anybody who fucks with the girl that it's in love with. It will
do. And then it takes the soul of the girl it loves.
Well, her soul was promised away a long time ago. It was a hereditary thing. There were just some multiple factors involved. Her hereditary thing transferred over to his voodoo thing, which then became a Dybbuk, which is a Jewish thing, and you get to see a whole lot of different things. So back to serial killers. We have not had a single comment tonight outside of Tom Knox saying hi. This is Carrie's death by stereo. There we go. My microphone. But if anybody has anything to bring up, we're with you here. We're just kind of winging it, and we've been on for an hour and a half, so I think our
You know
winging it is
what?
winding down. What's that?
I think if we're going to talk about serial killers, we need to take some time and talk about Frosted Flakes.
Toucan, son of Sam.
Or do we need to talk about, the Lucky Charms? I'm just saying, if you eat enough cereal, you are the serial killer.
There was also the lovely cereal. If we jump back to the Sandman, the lovely serial killers convention, where they spelt it like the breakfast cereal, but it was a collection of serial killers all meeting up and admiring each other and having guest speakers and stuff. Which I always wonder. I have an ongoing dream where people are. It's out in the country. In the fake countryside where I was born, the one that exists in my dream reality, not my normal one that has a couple extra roads on it, where there is a serial killer who is going to kill another serial killer, and I get picked up by him because my stagecoach, yes, I have to ride a stagecoach there, broke down along the road, and I can hear his inner monologue. And so I'm like hopping into this truck, and it's like, I'm going to kill this guy because he keeps killing other people, and I guess I'll give her a ride. She might come in handy. I don't know. And this is an ongoing dream of mine. So I wonder, you were bringing up Dexter before, how many serial killers actually go out hunting other killers as their MO?
Ooh.
That not just in fictional form, because some of them aren't that organized, and so it would be not incredibly hard if you were pretty tech savvy to track some down.
This is actually played in my head before.
Mm-hmm.
And actually that's kind of the base behind Taihan 2. Just the whole concept of, you are doing this, I need to clean up your stuff, you're doing it wrong, and you're grabbing attention to my stuff. That's very interesting.
I did love Hannibal, the series, and not because it was in any way, shape, or form accurate, but because of the different places where they let the minds go, and
Right.
like all of the ideas behind it. And to those of you who say that is a terrible crime procedural, nay, it is not a police procedural. It is a romance, and you have to keep that in mind. It is just a very weird romance. It is by no means supposed to reflect upon how murders or police actually work. It's just the two guys mind working together and fighting against each other and having this big bromance thing that comes through. So it's not your Law and Order kind of thing, if that's what you're into. But if you're into beautiful cinematography and some seriously fucked up stuff, I would recommend going and watching Hannibal. Friday.
One that is known of is the answer to your Dexter question.
Oh, really?
He targeted other murderers and pedophiles and people who rape people. Pedro Rodriguez Filo.
When was he active?
He was active 2 seconds. Let me see.
That's interesting.
Recently, actually. He was active up from known from 2011 to 2018.
Oh, very cool. Well, not okay. Not cool, but interesting. I'm so bad at this show. I don't know why they let me on serial killer shows because I do not promote serial killing. I have a fascination with them because their minds are interesting. I have a shelf of books, but I'm always like, "Oh, that's so awesome." But in a bad way, in a totally bad way, you know?
Right.
But at
I
least they're
knew I knew it would derail because you um have you didn't fully have like something set up.
yeah.
And Pyle has like a million things in his head, but he's also a fried egg on pavement because of how long his day has been. So,
It's just been one day.
I'm just saying within the last 24 hours, I'm just counting that. So, if we go by that I'm not counting the other 36 years of your life. So,
Well,
Oh, you kittens.
as long as I'm able to just get up in the morning and do what I need to do, I'm a happy camper.
yeah.
But sometimes it's just like, what did I do to myself and how did I agree to this? But, I have been thinking about so many different things. And when you guys were talking about what show was tonight, I could not remember what show and what we were talking about and this and that. And I was like, oh, yeah. Because 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Jack the Ripper. We were talking about the Muffin Man. We were talking about the one that I even pulled up. Dr. Kevorkian. Was he a
Working.
serial killer or not? And,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with that is, is there serial killers out there that are just not serial killers, that they are correct serial killers? And that's what my brain was going to with the whole executioner. Maybe he was somebody that, enjoyed it too much. Sometimes that was a whole family thing that the grandpa, the father, and the son got to do. Um, is it something where, you know we're still waiting in this crazy world to see the next one come out of the woodwork, and that one is going to be even more farther worse than anything, and perhaps that one's even already working and we just don't see his work or her work. And I'm not hoping and praying that this happens. I'm just saying humans can be wonderful and terrible things all at the same time.
Yeah. And then there's terrorism. We brought up 9/11 briefly when you were talking about PTSD
Right.
and survivor's guilt. And when you have the group think behind you, even worse things. I mean, everybody
Right.
agreeing to it. And we've seen a lot of this. I'm not going to mention any specific things because, once again, I don't want to, as you were saying, triggering people is not the point of this. Hopefully, talking about some of these older crimes isn't causing a trigger for people.
Right.
But, um, when does it become like I put away my the most evil men and women in history book that show, like Stalin willing to sacrifice a couple 100,000 men for the sake of protecting Russia in winter, which nobody's going to be able to get across it anyway.
Right.
But, and I can't remember all of their different names, but all of these men who did horrible things, are they mass murderers? Does it count if it's their own people and they didn't actually shoot them or anything, but they just set them up to be killed? How does that work? And then you have the sweet little old ladies from Arsenic and Old Lace,
Right.
which we make it into this like, oh, they're such cute little serial killers. They're just so sweet and stuff. And it's like, they got a basement full of corpses. I mean, they're
The,
nice little ladies, but
Yeah, there was a woman that she want everybody to go and be like, oh, okay, well, I want to help the homeless and this and that. And people were like, okay. So then all of a sudden, she would have all these people, and these people would notice that the other people were missing. And no one really fully understood that this was how she was getting their checks. And finally, someone spoke up and they zoomed her backyard, and she said, oh, I'll be right back. I can't believe this. I'll be right back. And next thing you know, she's on the lam. And
Poor lamb. They can't carry that much.
I mean, that was something that, all they wanted to do was get their government checks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what was going on with this whole situation. And when she got brought to court, she got brought to court a couple different times. And, from losing her husband or losing this person or losing that person. And we were just waiting for the next moment for someone to pop up and think that this was going to be the good idea. I mean, we never want this to happen to anybody. And we all understand that, as much as this is something we don't want to happen, it has happened. It's not happened 5 times. It's not happened 20 times. I mean, there's a whole list of different people, and a lot of them are connected to my state of Ohio. Our slogan was, for longest time, find it here. And everybody's like, well, will you find it? And it's like a whole bunch of really messed up things with our state.
Yeah, some fucked up shit in Ohio, man.
Now we have changed it back to the heart of it all. So maybe perhaps they're talking about someone else's heart being ripped out, and we just haven't seen it yet.
We went from the good life to something that nobody cared about to Nebraska. It's not for everyone. That's what we currently have. We paid, I think, $350,000 to a firm from Colorado to come up with that for us, and it's supposed to be ironic.
That's actually your slogan?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's our.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's supposed to be ironic because it's supposed to be like they show advertising things for like rafting down one of our couple of rivers and being like, oh, look at all that. It's not for everybody. People who don't like adventure won't want to come here. And it's like, no, we don't have adventure. We're from Nebraska. Jenny.
Ours is one word. Friendship.
Oh my. I've never been there, and I don't intend to. It's just a weird thing for me. I'm like, there are certain states that I've avoided on purpose. And my mother, as she drives me around, because I can't drive because epilepsy, has forced me to enter the state boundaries of Florida, but I don't think it counts because I never got out of the vehicle, and we just drove up and down a Pensacola, strip of condos and went, oh, look, if we were members, we could see the ocean from here, but we can't, so let's go to Alabama. But,
there's only 2 states I haven't been to.
Yeah.
Alaska and Hawaii.
There you go.
Oh, you're ground locked.
She's been everywhere, man. She's been everywhere.
Oh man. But I just that's my whole thought on a lot of this serial killer stuff as we talk through it, and as our brains have squirreled so much, and as yes, I agree, the squirrel has our podcast right now because we have squirreled so much. But my thoughts go out to the families that have been affected by someone. And Have you guys ever went to Walmart and just went and looked at the missing people?
No.
There is a lot. And the post office, if you actually know the post office, it's got a whole list of missing people. Walmart does the exact same thing.
A lot of the sad thing in what you brought up is people just, a lot of the homeless and disabled people trying to get their lives back under control and trying to be able
Right.
to collect their checks, have somewhere safe to store things and such. I hold on. Bad microphone. Bad microphone.
Go sit you in your corner.
I have had the issue of having a lot of homeless people that were living in my apartment for a while. When I was not technically here often, I was here sometimes on the weekends. But my SO at the time invited, he was trying to be helpful in his defense. However, it ended up kind of screwing up a bunch of things. And there are a lot of people who need help. And like that's what he was trying to do, was like, okay, stay here while you get your check cash so you can get, a place to live somewhere else. And it was like, okay, and while we're here, we'll steal all your shit. But there are a lot of people who are totally taken advantage of because they're mentally unstable, and somebody be like, oh, if you live here, then just get your check sent and clear me to go ahead and cash it for you at the bank. I'll be your representative. And like I'd started off the show mentioning Belle Gunness, who was doing the opposite. She was saying, like, I'm a rich widow. Come have my farm. Gonna bury you in it. It'll be fun. You'll help the corn grow. But these people who are so taken advantage of, and I think sometimes the people don't even realize what absolute pieces of shit they are in taking advantage of these people. And then in some cases it does lead up to them just killing people and not even thinking much of it, because they're just like, oh, it's just some, otherwise they'd be freezing to death on a corner somewhere, spending it all on meth, doing whatever. So yeah, it okay, I will work on that. But sorry, reading a little notes here. But the way that society is set up is that there's always going to be those leftovers that nobody's going to miss for a while. They're going to think like, oh, Joe isn't around anymore. Well, last I knew, Joe was set up with somebody who was going to help him out and get him an apartment on the north side of town, and he'd get back to us in a couple weeks. But Joe, we don't. Joe's kind of a flake, so we don't worry about it too much. And then later, Joe's found in a freezer somewhere in parts. So, so we got that to deal with. But I think we're hitting about the 2-hour mark here, guys.
Yep. So
I know I have been talking a lot. So, do you have it?
Yep, I have the wheel. So we can do the
awesome.
wheel, and then we'll leave out the show with him doing. We'll take you and me out, and then he can do the thing with the commercial.
I can do what? Fun. Huh?
He's
what are we doing?
Everyone gets to see
Hold on here.
Everyone gets to see what we see when you do the commercial. That's going to be how we end this show.
Oh, okay. You got that recorded?
No, I'm going to record it.
Oh. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So is this the wheel of what happens next week, or the wheel of Monster versus Monster?
Yeah, this is what happens. No, this is the next episode.
Okay.
If you're good.
Do you want me to play music? Oh, you have yours set up so it plays music, don't you?
Because I haven't figured out how to turn it off. Hold on.
There's a Dennis. Look at the Dennis.
There we go. We're good to go. Now we can do the music.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3.
strange camping stories.
Ooh.
Oh my
Okay.
god, Raz has a bunch of these.
Yeah, he can make that episode last like 5 episodes at least. I I want to assure you guys that Raz doesn't make shit up when he talks about his camping stories. Like, he might flub a detail or two here or there just to make it a little bit more relevant to people. But we used to do on a Discord server, we would do basically what our Owlite Society shows are, where we do campfire stories. And we were all sitting around one night on Discord with the audio up in a chat, and we suddenly Raz was out at a cabin camping, and he was in like the hot tub or something there, and he's talking, and we can hear ourselves in the background saying things that we hadn't said. So it wasn't like he'd somehow sneakily recorded us and then was like playing us back, like having his wife or somebody go run out in the woods and like play a noise that sounded like us. There were our voices like calling him to come and find us and things like this in the background. So wherever Raz shows up, a cryptid does too, or 3 or 4 or 5 of them. So he had mimics like that were trying to get him to go find us, even though we were all in his ears at the same time. So yeah, his campfire stories are, well, campfire stories and camping stories are freaking crazy. So it's, be ready for some good shit. All right, and now we
He
are going
says
to end the
no.
You're not gonna do it? Aw. Okay.
So, just so everybody's clear, I found out one time because I was doing something. I think I was eating some spicy wings, and I come to find out that these guys can actually see me on the break. So when you guys are watching these commercials, these are commercials that I have memorized, and I have done this, and I like the commercials. I enjoy it. And in fact, the one Faycore commercial, I've memorized it, and I was like, oh, here's the magical fairy that's in the water. Oh, there it is. Wait, where's your ears? They're not, tipped. So I come to realize that this might not be a fairy. But as this goes on, I'm cracking jokes because now I know they can watch me. And now I got a feeling that they're going to come after me to try figuring out how they can show you guys what I'm doing, because I've memorized these things. It is not just those that are in the middle of the show. It is the father. What's that?
Evil.
All
Father
of them.
Evil. It is the wonderful zombie. I've been doing this because I've memorized them. My favorite part is the zombie yelling, "Use the front door," and then he goes and says, "They're so disgusting." Is ironically my favorite part out of everything. So
I like that commercial too.
These guys are going to do something because I'm not going to remember that they're going to find a way to record me. And they're going to show you.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, we are.
This is going to be their goal. Because I don't just get up and say, it's commercial and I'm taking a break. Oh, no. I jam with the stuff. And I can't give them the satisfaction of knowing that I'm just going to go willingly, because I'm going to go kicking and screaming as I do this.
Oh, you have no idea that. By the way, you can catch me on Splash Pages on Tuesdays, except for this Tuesday, because we've had so many guests in a row and so many special things in a row that we're taking a break because Leo's in the middle of moving and everybody else has shit going on with cons, so we're just
right
tomorrow. Nope. But when we get going on those some of the time, and Jar's been on the show for years, and he didn't realize we could all see him because he will like rock out and shit going on.
Yeah.
And we'll all be laughing. He'll be like, what? And we're just like, oh, nothing at all, man. And we need to get shots of all the different shows with people jamming out to the intros, because I think all of our shows, Dorkening and Owlite, we have so much fun with the intros and stuff, and we have a great time doing everything and just watching everybody in the background stuff. Because, like, we jam out to our own shit, man. We like our stuff.
Oh
We're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, yeah,
I like it.
absolutely.
You guys have given us some great songs, and I dance along to my song for the shows.
So, I as I am still, and I will say this probably for a very long time yet, as I'm still new to this, I am still finding out so much about them and how they're going to go and incorporate me into different things. And I know that I am the Joker because I love doing stuff. I love having fun. I love thinking of chaotic things. And my brain has been so fried on this entire thing that I can't wait to make it better the next time, because it's been a long weekend for me. The solar eclipse, I have been out in the sun Saturday, Sunday, and now Monday. And tomorrow I will get right back in my rig and I will be a happy camper, jamming out to music and listening and thinking, what are they going to do to get me?
We shall get him. We shall.
You know, you two are not the only two that are after me. I have had so many people try to do a surprise birthday to me all these years, and I find out about it, or it gets canceled, or anything, and everybody's like, well, we tried. So
I've had one time when that happened, and it scared the shit out of me. I almost had a seizure. I like came walking. Yeah, like I went out to dinner with my ex, and he had arranged. It was only like 4 other people, you know.
right?
They came, but my birthday's on Halloween, so we all had to get costumed up. And I come walking through my door, and all of a sudden there's just like surprise. I was just like, what the fuck? And nearly had a seizure. And then they got me in and got me calm. And like the problem was that they put decorations up really tall, and I'm 5'5", and so I had birthday decorations up for like 2 years because I could not. It just not everywhere, just in certain, like there's that corner over there that you just can't quite get to because
There's
that
wonky place. One balloon.
Yeah.
Out of every balloon, there's that one. I still can't get out of the corner.
It deflated. It just hangs there now. It's just this hanging balloon. It's sad.
Or you get the balloon that deflates just enough that so much barometric pressure will make it drop down, and then all of a sudden it'll rise back up. It's like, no, stay down.
Those Mylar balloons that last for like 2 months. And it's just like, what, you were dead yesterday. What the fuck spray got on you? Like, I'm reading Hitman right now, dude. They just like res some people up and shit with zombie spray. I'm not used to balloon zombies. You're supposed to stay dead when you're dead.
So, were you guys chatting to figure out how to get me earlier, or was this like a brainstorm just a little bit ago?
This is all her, man. We were just, whenever it came before, it was one of those like, what the fuck's going on tonight? Oh yeah, okay. Hi. I'm in my jammies. Okay. I'm here.
Well,
it works.
No,
No matter what.
everything had went crazy, and we're making it as we go. And most of the conversation has been in front of you, where you can read or hear. And what was talked about before you came on was, oh yeah, you need to make sure you get this up, and this up, so we have the whole show on.
Well, I was talking about like how you guys are conniving on trying to get me to dance to some of these commercials.
Oh, that was all in front of you. Yeah. No, you know I angry type, so like if we've been trying to communicate outside of this, I'd be like, hold on, mute. Okay.
Well, no matter what, I always am so happy to be with you two I am so happy to be here with the Elliott Network. And I can't wait because at the tail end of this week, I have some that's fine. The tail end of this week, we do have something that I'm really always focused about as much as I squirrel around on it.
So please tell us about them.
Please share.
Oh, what? Well, at the end of this week, we will have the third installment, the third episode of Chainer's Haunted Secrets, and it's going to be Wicked FX. And I've reminded them so many times because they are going to be at a convention down in Kentucky, and they said, "We'll be there. We'll be there. We'll be back in the hotel room. We might be doing it from our phone." It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, Sundays are okay at the time slots that we use for conventions, unless you're going to some like super secret con wrap party. But you know.
Right, and this
in which case we would like to be invited.
Well, that's the thing. In June, I will be at a convention doing Chainer's Haunted Secrets from the convention. And I can't wait for that because it's going to be Midwest Haunters Convention.
Nice. I am going to Terrificon in mid-August. Super excited about that. They just announced today. There's a ridiculous list of people who are going to be there, but they just announced today that Scotty Young is going to be there, and he's celebrating his 10th year of being a big cover artist for Marvel, and So I am going to go out, and I just ordered and got confirmation from my LCS that I'm going to be able to get his new Ghost Rider cover. He just released 27 covers.
Nice.
Yeah, and they all tie together into one giant poster.
Right.
So I'm going to get one of my friends who lives there to buy the poster, because I'm not going to get a poster, transport it through the airport and everything to Connecticut from Nebraska, and then try to get it signed and then get it back. But I'm going to have somebody buy it for me, get it signed, and then mail it back to myself when I do so. But I am getting comic book covers from him. So
that is cool.
Yeah, and I can contact you guys from the convention too and let you know what's going on and be like, I saw this guy today. I went ahead and got an interview with this guy. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, I'm really glad that the Elliott Network is going and blooming so well. That way we get a chance to go and do fun things. Plus, we can bring all the fun things along with us to everybody that watches the Elliott Network. And anybody that's had to deal with me over this weekend, I am so sorry, because I have been fried over this entire weekend. And if you have not heard me talk about the Elliott Network or how I'm a haunter, you did something amazingly, because you totally tuned me out. I feel terrible that people have had to listen to me over the weekend talking about these two subjects.
Pyle, we are blessed to have you. If you would like
Yes,
to explain to people what you have been doing over the weekend and over the past week, to explain, this is yet another reason why we are blessed to have you.
Okay, so we had the solar eclipse this week, today, here in Ohio. The last couple of weeks have been kind of chaotic because we've actually had tornadoes in our area, and I work with a team that it works and helps people during disasters. And we help the first responders. And the last couple of days, I got contacted to go back to Hickory Hills, which is during the summer country concert. I left them, and they called for me to come back. And I did that on Saturday and Sunday. And I did not realize how many people really cared about me and I wasn't just a face that people seen in a really huge body not to hit with your car. And then today we had the solar eclipse and we actually used it as a training. And I made over over 96 hamburgers, over 72 hot dogs, and 3 grilled cheese sandwiches just to make sure that we could do it to give to first responders in our county during this solar eclipse, because you know what? These guys need to be treated. So that is why my brain has been fried. I have been doing training, I've been teaching, I have been working on different stuff, and I have found out once again how many people absolutely think I'm a pretty cool guy.
Very.
Well, we think you're a pretty cool guy as well. You have a huge heart, and you bring that to us, and we appreciate the hell out of that for you. So
Well, I
We're
absolutely
getting-
appreciate you guys.
we're getting all sappy. Okay, let's say goodnight, and then we can say how much we love each other in a little bit. But I just wanted you to be able to say, because you do so much, and it's really awesome to have somebody who is so helpful in their community be part of our network, to be able to share you with everyone else. So what order are we going in?
Let's. You know what? That one.
What? We're bringing
Where do
it
you wanna
back
be
to
found?
me. In my bed pretty soon.
That's the plan.
So you guys can find me here on the Outlight Network, and I am very excited to always be here. And even if you do not see me during one of the shows, please check out these shows, because we want to make ourselves better and better here. You can find me on Facebook at Pyle Hazard, and you can find me on TikTok, Pyle Hazard. Chainer's Field of Screams actually does now have a face or a TikTok, and we're gonna take it really slow, and it's chainers.field on TikTok. And you know what? I still ain't got the whole kick on this Instagram thing.
I'll help you with it if you give me time later.
You are so busy. It's not on my top list here. So, there we go.
All right, so you can
I
find
want
me,
that!
Anubis and Rita Tosker, all here on the Owlite Network on about half of our shows. We were counting the other day, and I think we're up to 13. So forgive me if I'm not on all of them. I also have to do things like sleep 14 hours a day, because it's what I do. It's my superpower, which you'll find out about if you hear about the trading cards that we have coming out. That'll be something that we'll talk about more in the future, but we have superpowers, and mine is just sleeping through everything. But you'll find me here for that. And you'll also find me on splash pages on the Dorking Network, which Owlite is a part of. If you want to actually track me down, look for Carrie, Kari, Sanders, and this is my avatar. If you see this crow, that would be me. Otherwise, all of my links are from there. My author page, all of the different network things that I do in the shows that I'm on and stuff can be found there. And Friday will answer most of the things that go through, because I am social mediacally uninclined. Does that work? Is that a word?
It sounds perfect. I don't know, but it's a word now. We've
Mhm.
decided it's
All
a
right.
word.
Yeah,
I have
I suck at
diabetes.
my socials, so I have epilepsy. Come on, no, that has nothing to do with me being on socials. But yeah, I answer my normal page, and then like Friday either like handles it for me, or is like, hey, you have a message. But most of the time she's like, so you're getting trolled, and I like fucked with them for you. Check it out. And I'll be like, oh, nice job. You're awesome. So yeah, that's how you find me. Go over to Friday. You're yourself. Yay! Yay!
Yes, if you troll us, I will troll back. I am normally nice and don't do it, but I don't like it when you troll my friends, and I have access to at least 3 of their social medias. Well, technically 4 now, but I don't touch that out of respect of what he has asked. But
Mhm.
either way, you can find me on Owlite, which is part of the Dorkening. So you can find me on the Dorkening. You can find me at Fake Horror. You can find me acting like I'm Delphine, acting like I'm Raz, sometimes acting like I am Patty, well, Patricia Harris. You can find me at my stuff, which is actually Friday's Library in the Blue Box, and my author page, Jennifer Elliott. I too am published. So yay! I did that thing I've been wanting to do since I was in high school. So yes!
And speaking of published and Owlite, we are going to be coming out with the Owlite Menagerie very soon. Keep an eye out for it. Like not very. We have the stories in. We have people from the network as well as some of the guests that we have had on that are amazing authors as well. All tied into one book, and it's going to support charity for literacy. So we'll give you more information on that as things progress further. But just wanted to share that again because I'm so excited. We're releasing the Owlite book, and it's going to be great. I mean, I've read the stories, so I know. So yeah, get excited. It's going to be super fun.
Yay!
Nice.
And then Wednesday, we have a very special episode of Unprinted Pages where we talk about Patricia Harris's kids' books and 3 different readers for 3 of her wonderful books that my kid can't read, but he has them memorized. He will read them back to me and he can't read. So, yeah, they're that good. My kid thinks they are anyway. So,
It's awesome.
yay, pit the pop time. Good
All
night.
right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. We love you.